Europe is not a country, it's not even a single idea. It's more like a long running group project that nobody can officially quit. On this map, Europe looks colorful, tidy, and cooperative. In reality, it is a dense pile of geography, history, compromise, and aggressively labeled borders. Today, we are not just reading Europe, we are reading how maps attempt to survive Europe. Why Europe is so small on maps and still so loud? First, let's zoom out. I think this is the max we get. Yeah. Europe looks compact, almost polite, especially compared to continents like Africa or Asia. This is a cartographic illusion. Europe is not physically special, it is historically dense. Maps inflate Europe's importance by filling it with labels, borders, and microstates, even arrows and footnotes. If labels were removed, Europe would suddenly look very calm. Map makers know this, so they compensate with text. Lots of texts. Islands that refuse to be peripheral. Let's start on the edges because Europe never starts in the middle. Over here you have Iceland. Let me zoom in on Iceland. Floating dramatically in the North Atlantic like it arrived early and is waiting for the rest of the continent to catch up. Iceland exists on the mid-Atlantic ridge, which is geology saying we are still building this island. Then there is Ireland and United Kingdom, which is over here. Two islands that prove water is both a barrier and a personality trait. Notice how arrows point to places like the Isle of Man and the Channel Islands? This is mapmaker language for yes, they matter, but we ran out of space. Scandinavia, or long countries with short tempers. Let's move north. Here is Norway, shaped like someone aggressively folded a coastline. Fjords everywhere, borders that follow mountains, not straight lines. Next to it, Sweden, which looks calm, elongated, and organized like it labeled itself. And then Finland, slightly offset, full of lakes, forests, and quiet confidence. Maps teach an important lesson here. When borders are smooth, terrain was negotiable. When borders are jagged, terrain won the argument. The Baltic states, or yes, we fit here. Let's zoom in on Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. They are small, aligned vertically, and carefully labeled so no one forgets them. This is deliberate cartography. Small countries need visual reinforcement. Map makers increase font clarity, spacing, and contrast to ensure they are not mistaken for decorative shapes. Maps are political documents, even when they pretend not to be. Central Europe, where map starts sweating. Now let's move in on to the center. Here is Germany. Germany is the cartographic anchor of Europe. Balanced shape, central location, and borders touching everyone. When maps are designed, Germany is often the reference point for scale. Surrounding it are countries that feel like they were carefully cut to fit remaining space. Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. Luxembourg exists mostly to remind mapmakers about font size limits. France and Spain, the shape personalities. Look at France. France looks confident on maps, balanced, centered, and recognizable. This is not accidental. France's borders follow rivers, mountains, and coastlines that make cartographers happy. Now compare that to Spain. Spain is broad, heavy, and grounded. It fills space confidently. Add Portugal next to it, quietly hugging the Atlantic like it found a good spot and stayed. Notice how microstates like Andorra and Monaco require arrows. This is a map saying, trust us, they are there. Italy, or the boot that refuses to be ignored. Let's zoom south. Italy is the easiest country in Europe to identify and the hardest to map neatly. Its shape forces the map to bend. The Mediterranean suddenly matters, islands appear, labels tilt. Italy reminds us that some geographies dominate map layouts whether the mapmaker likes it or not. Even Vatican City gets a label here, purely out of respect. The Balkans, or where the straight lines go to die. Now brace yourself. The Balkans. Here you find Croatia, Serbia, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Albania. I can't pronounce that. Herzegovina, yeah, and North Macedonia, and even more. This is where cartography becomes emotional labor. Borders here are historical compromises frozen into lakes, rivers, mountains, and politicals overlap, labels stack, arrows multiply. Maps do not simplify the Balkans, they survive them. Eastern Europe. Let's move east. Let's move east. Poland, Romania, and Hungary. Suddenly, countries get bigger again. Borders smooth out, label spacing improves. This is geography giving the map breathing room. Eastern Europe reminds us that density, not size, is what stresses maps. Water, the invisible organizer. Now let's zoom out and look at the seas. The Atlantic, the Mediterranean, the Baltic, and the North Sea. Water explains everything: trade routes, climate, empires, language spread, why coastal countries punch above their size. Maps do not show currents, but they imply them. Every coastline here is a historical argument. What this map is really teaching you. This Europe map is not neutral. It teaches that borders are decisions, not facts, that labels are power, that space on a map is political currency, that geography negotiates, history argues, and cartographers mediate. Europe is not complicated because it is small. It is complicated because everything happened here, and the map is doing its best to hold all of that still. Thank you for watching this episode. And if you want a map just like this one to be created for you, you can reach out to mapsandlocations.com and we'll help you craft the perfect map for your business or personal needs. It could be a choropleth map, it could be a topographic map, it could be a presentation map, right? So if you need a map like this or any kind of map, even a 3D map for your presentations, maybe you want to have a location map that shows how real estate pricing is affecting is being affected by the nearby housing prices, we can create that map for you. So reach out and let us know. And thank you for watching again.